inside the minds of men. An all-new Dr. Phil.
It's America's getaway weekend as families hit the open road. They'll travel to scenic destinations, explore the wonders of nature, enjoy meals on the go, and eat at their own risk.
Monday, CBS 2 exposes the Tri-State's dirtiest rest stop restaurants, from the Turnpike to the Thruway. See how taking the wrong exit could also take a toll on your health.
Before you hit the highway this Memorial Day, watch Eat at Your Own Risk on the Road, Monday on CBS 2 News at 11.
The Lexus ES. An automobile so luxurious we thought of everything. Even this special lease. $399 a month for 36 months, with $3,049 due at signing on approved credit. See your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut Lexus dealer.
The 2003 Chevy Trailblazer. Choose the Trailblazer EXT with the third row seat, or choose the rugged Trailblazer LS. Get a Trailblazer LS 4x4 with great Smart Buy financing. Call for residency restrictions and other details. Design, versatility, and offers to get you moving. See your local Chevy dealer.
It's just we waited so long, and I try not to worry, but I do. Worry.
High-risk pregnancy gets easier with Aetna's maternity programs.
Ultrasounds, amnio, blood pressure, the waiting.
An Aetna case nurse will work with your doctor to schedule tests, answer questions, to care.
We've already picked out a name. Her name is Hope.
Hope.
Ask your employer about the new Aetna, turning promise into practice.
From power to refinement, it's the best Accord yet. Auto Week magazine.
It just doesn't get any better than this. Car and Driver.
Inside this handsome new structure is a cabin that caters to the driver, Motor Trend.
We've always received our fair share of accolades. The key is never being satisfied with them.
Now you can lease a 2003 Accord LX sedan for $239 a month for 36 months.
How do you stop a madman who terrorizes his own people?
We will disinfect our country!
Hitler, the Rise of Evil, CBS tonight.
60 Minutes, Volume 1, Number 1, Take 2.
Good evening. This is 60 Minutes. It's a kind of a magazine for television.
That's how it all began 35 years ago. And since then, we've spent many a Sunday evening together. Tonight, a celebration of those 35 years with a parade of presidents and potentates, kings and crooks, the famous and infamous, the colorful and contemptible, the divas, the deadbeats, con men and comics. We'll hear from people who had a lot to say.
And I hope to restore respect to the presidency.
And people who didn't want to speak to us at all.
No comments.
Be careful, because I'm going to call my lawyer right now.
You're contemptible.
We'll visit with people who warmed our hearts.
All of my fears, my anxieties, my joys go into that strip.
And others who chilled our spines.
Am I pure evil? Am I the face of terror sitting here in front of you?
Tonight we'll show you how we unintentionally scared the living daylights out of a soon-to-be First Lady.
Mary and Joseph.
And the question Jerry Seinfeld was too embarrassed to answer.
I am not going to talk about being sexually immature on 60 Minutes.
And of course we'll spend time with some of the people who kept us entertained throughout these 35 years.
love to be swept off my feet.
I'd love to kiss you, but I just washed my hair.
That's right.
My favorite line in any movie I ever had.
You must have some faults.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you? Yeah, you know what? I made a comprehensive list of them. Thank goodness I'm on 60 Minutes now, so I can finally get them off my chest.
Tonight, some of our shining moments, some of our biggest blunders, and a brief look at how others see us.
I'm Mike Wallace, I'm Morley Schaefer, and I'm Ed Bradley. All this and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Schaefer.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bob Simon.
I'm Andy Rooney. After 35 years, I get to say my own name.
Tonight, a special anniversary edition, 35 years and 60 minutes.
Hey, Mom. The rat, he looked at me. And then he started to sleep. And then the rat, he looked at me again.
I can't believe I'm getting this emotional over rats.
Somehow I doubt it's the rat.
Introducing Picture Mail That Talks from Sprint. Share it when it happens.
What brings you to the Rhode Island Culinary Institute?
That's a good question.
What brings you to southern New Mexico State?
You travel many miles. Why Gestalt School of Art?
What made you decide to make the trip all the way to Memphis Polytech?
$139 a week for any mid-size at budget. For irresistible prices on irresistible cars, call 1-800-BUDGET-7 or visit budget.com.
Comfort. It's what makes your baby happy. That's why there's Carnation Good Start, the only routine formula whose proteins are broken down to be easy to digest. They're called Comfort Proteins, and only Good Start has them. Carnation Good Start from Nestle.
When you're looking for a home, your real estate agent is a big part of your life. You need someone experienced you can count on. RE/MAX. Outstanding agents. Outstanding results.
Take your seat for the wedding all America's been waiting for.
You're dancing with me today, jerkwad.
You haven't called me that since our wedding.
The special 45-minute Raymond season finale, CBS Monday.
When someone once asked me why so many crooks and con men are willing to come on 60 Minutes, I said, a crook doesn't believe he's made it as a crook until he's been on 60 Minutes.
Hey, 60 Minutes is in here. Can you believe it?
How are you?
60 Minutes in here. Hold the phone.
Let's see.
I'm trying to tell you his name. Let's see. Dan. No, this. Hey, this is my favorite one. Gosh. What's your last name?
Wallace. Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
Ernest Sinclair, head of California Pacifica University, where anyone could buy a degree for $2,150. A diploma mill with a brochure as impressive as any in the Ivy League.
Now there's a picture of California Pacifica University campus, and actually you're not in that building because that's the big Equitable building, and you're here in a much smaller building.
Exactly.
Above a wig shop.
Mm-hmm.
Also in the brochure, an impressive-looking display of faculty members, beginning with Mario Ugarte, Dean of the College of Education. Is he here now?
He's not here.
Rosalba Riano, the administrative assistant.
Right. We did make communication with her by telephone, and she is alive and well, and she's in New York in the Garment District.
Terrell Harvey. Is he still the Dean of your College of Law?
I could probably say yes, and I could probably say no.
Mike has never met a diploma he didn't like. Sometimes it's on the wall of a bogus health clinic.
I have a PhD in economics and one in philosophy. My two PhDs, one came from the Tennessee University and from a...
University of Tennessee?
No, the Christian Tennessee University. Then I got one from Florida, Tennessee, Trinity Christian College in Florida.
Where is that?
It's in, I believe that now their present headquarters, I believe it's in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, it says here it was signed and sealed at Brownsville, Texas back in 1973.
Okay, that was a branch of that operation, you see.
Then there's Christopher Rocancourt, whom Steve Croft met in a Canadian jail. Rocancourt made a life's work conning millions from the rich and famous, from Hollywood to the Hamptons, sometimes passing himself off as a Rockefeller. Even he had trouble believing he got away with it, especially with a French accent so thick he needs English subtitles.
Right now, I say to you, my name is Christopher Rockefeller. You will believe it? No, you will not. You will laugh.
That's not the only name you've used.
No, I did have some different name.
Prince Galitzine Christo, Christopher de Laurentiis, Christopher de la Renta, Fabian Ortuno, Christopher Reyes.
What a great name.
They're all you.
I think it's great to change your name.
In some cases, though, even being behind bars doesn't stop a true con artist like Danny Ferries. Ferries was a convicted murderer who ran a credit card scam out of his Miami jail cell. But he told Mike he'd quit running his frauds since moving to state prison.
You don't do it anymore. That's what you just told me, Danny.
I know. Well, you know, here's what I've done.
But somehow you're in touch with a lady in Fort Lauderdale renting an apartment, which is going to be a drop site where you are ordering, or she is ordering, or somebody is ordering camcorders and things like this.
As he nervously takes a drink of his root beer.
I mean, you're a crook.
Well.
And a murderer.
That's what they say. Doggone, I wish they didn't say that, though.
But when it comes to scammers, Ed found a doozy in Dr. John Aka Blameza. No one was bigger, literally or financially. He humbly billed himself as the richest man in the world, the sole beneficiary of the Oman Ghana Fund, a $27 billion trust. Trouble was, he said, he needed other people's money to free up the funds, and promised them $10 for every dollar they gave him. By the time Ed came to Colin Blameza, he was living in luxury in London, thanks to the gullibility and greed of his American investors, whom he'd built out of more than $200 million.
Before he agreed to sit on his tribal throne with his scepter and talk with us, Blameza said he had to carry out an old tribal custom, to vow to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
But he didn't tell the truth, nor did Sante and Kenneth Kimes. They were a mother and son team of grifters, professional con artists who stopped at nothing, including murder. Steve Croft interviewed them as they awaited trial for the murder of Irene Silverman, a wealthy New York widow. It was one of the most bizarre interviews we've ever broadcast, constantly interrupted by the Kimes battery of lawyers.
I mean, we saw your college transcript, and I see you got an A in acting.
Oh, stop. Come on. That's not a fair question. Acting, you're going to stop? This is it.
I didn't even finish the question.
Deception isn't just confined to the characters we've dealt with. There have been times when we've been a little deceptive ourselves. Take Leslie Stahl, complete with a black wig. When she learned of a thriving black market business in Eastern Europe selling babies for adoption, she went to Romania to negotiate a purchase.
All you have to do is mill around the hotel lobbies in Bucharest, and it won't be long before a baby broker finds you. How long is this process going to take us?
At least 4 weeks. At least 4 weeks.
How much is it going to cost us?
Probably anywhere from $3,500 to $7,000.
Steve Croft didn't need a wig, just a pair of sunglasses when he passed himself off as a possible investor in a scam run by Bill Whitlow, who made tax-free $50,000 a month rolling back the mileage on used cars.
This is not exactly legal, right? What's the downside? I want to know what the downside is.
It's not exactly legal, no.
I want to show you one thing. You know what's back there?
What's back there?
Yeah.
No.
There's a TV camera back there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been taping this whole thing.
Well, all right.
The good news is, we're not cops.
Well, I didn't think so.
The bad news is we're 60 Minutes.
3 years later, we caught up with Whitlow. He was 2 years into a 6-year prison sentence, and he'd lost that jolly demeanor.
I think you could scrape the bottom of hell with a fine-tooth comb and never come up with a man like Steve Cross.
As for some of our other con men, Danny Ferries remains in prison in Florida. Sante and Kenneth Kimes were found guilty and sentenced respectively to 120 and 125 years in prison. John Aka Blaymiza died in 1992. His investors are still waiting for their millions from the Oman Ghana Fund. As for Andy Rooney, he's been keeping his eye on one scam for more than 15 years, the incredible shrinking 1-pound can of coffee.
Our first report was on coffee in 1988. Chock full of nuts has not only reduced the amount of coffee in the can, but they've also reduced the size of the print telling you how much there is in it. Net weight, 16 ounces, 1 pound. Net weight, 13 ounces. Here's the newest update. A 1-pound can of chock full of nuts isn't even as chock full as it was then. Just 11 ounces now. The only 1-pound can we found that still has 16 ounces in it, a pound, may be the best coffee, too. Brown Gold. There are 17 cans here. They hold a total of 13.5 pounds of coffee. Doesn't that seem like cheating? I don't really have any right to complain. The actual content of 60 Minutes is now less than 42 minutes.
Next, Jackie Gleason and the Rolling Stones. And Muhammad Ali gives Ed Bradley the surprise of his life when 35 years and 60 minutes continues.
I'm a regular guy, but sometimes I can be such a dunce. Like when I go on vacation. I always wonder if I'm paying too much for the rental car. Then I heard about the Dollar Rent-A-Car website at dollar.com. The rates were so good, I couldn't contain my excitement. Saving money was so quick and easy, and wow, my Dollar rental car was right at the airport. Next time, you know where to go.
In national taste tests, more families prefer the taste of KC Masterpiece Original Barbecue Sauce over Kraft Original. So, when given a choice...
KC Masterpiece tastes incredible.
We're talking flavor Kraft can't even come close to.
My girlfriend says it makes my lips taste good. KC Masterpiece Barbecue Sauce. When it comes to taste, it's the clear winner. And now try new Dippin' Top sauces. Great for dipping nuggets or topping burgers.
Introducing Intel Centrino mobile technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
So guys, what do we want to do this weekend?
Let's go to the beach.
It happened at 10 till 6 on a Tuesday night.
Okay, that's enough.
Just before the steamed carrots were served.
Guys, it's important. Yes, this is Louisa. What are you saying?
A phone call she would always remember.
We got the house. We got the house.
For a free guide to help you on the path to homeownership, call the Fannie Mae Foundation. We're showing America a new way home.
Sharp steel is no match for smart rubber. Tires with run-flat technology on the wings of Goodyear.
In a time of turmoil and uncertainty,
our economy is destroyed, but our problem isn't poverty, it's indifference. Is anyone listening?
He mastered the politics of hatred.
We will disinfect our country of the Jewish vermin!
Robert Carlyle, Matthew Modine.
We're running toward a monster we should be running from.
Juliana Margulies, Peter O'Toole.
They're getting stronger all the time.
The television lens critics go spellbinding. Hitler, the rise of evil. CBS tonight.
Guys over 50 have an increased risk of prostate cancer, but a simple exam can save your life.
Go see your doctor. CBS cares.
Over these past 35 years, we've profiled some of the people who are at the top of their field. Some of them have changed the world without necessarily gaining any public attention. Others were famous before we ever met them.
Did you like that one, pal?
Including the great one, Jackie Gleason, who was completely at home with that title.
Sure you haven't got any money?
No. It's against company rules.
We'll play for fun.
Portrait of a 68-year-old hustler and some memories.
And away we go! $2,000, Alan. That's big, big, big. This is probably the biggest thing I ever got into.
The biggest thing you ever got into was your pants.
Tell me something. The Great One, where did that come from?
Well, Orson Welles called me the Great One first. And then Lucy started to call me that. And I'm really not offended by it.
Did you ever really believe it?
You just saw me play pool, didn't you?
Gleason may have been called the Great One, but Muhammad Ali was indeed the greatest, and not only as a boxer. He reigned supreme among the practical jokers we'd met. When Ed went along with him on a trip to Cuba 7 years ago, Ali, suffering from the effects of Parkinson's syndrome, had trouble speaking. But he had no trouble at all enlisting his wife Lonnie to rope-a-dope a 60 Minutes correspondent.
Since the Frazier fight in Manila, Muhammad will, it's sort of like narcolepsy. He'll just start sleeping, but he'll have these flashbacks, and he'll have, it's like nightmares, and his face will twist up like he's boxing, and he'll throw punches at people. And he does it at night sometimes. Sometimes I have to get out of the bed. Whenever he starts snoring heavily, I have to get out of the bed because I know it's going to start.
So when he starts,
go to the next room.
So he's not putting on when he started.
This actually happens. And the doctor told us not to really try to wake him if that does happen, because he might end up with a heart attack because it might frighten him. So I don't. I just get up and move. That's the hard part. You have to sort of...
You got me.
Not long after Bob Simon joined this broadcast as a regular contributor, he introduced us to Francisco Ordóñez, Spain's best matador.
He dominated what someone called a half-ton of angry pot roast with the flick of a wrist. With the grace of a ballet dancer, the agility of a gymnast.
But what Bob didn't show you at the time was the worst bullfighter in Spain, a man named Simon, whose agility and grace left a lot to be desired, and who was lucky to escape with his dignity nearly intact. Bob could have benefited from a few pet obedience lessons from this lady,
Wookies.
The BBC's Barbara Woodhouse. She was to dog training what Ali was to boxing.
You might have thought that man praising dog is the most natural, most ordinary thing to do. Mrs. Woodhouse tells us there's only one way to do it, her way.
You use one finger only for scratching the chest. And you say, what a good boy. And you scratch the chest like that. No, that's wrong. Right between the chest. I have a very wide range. You know, a voice is cross. You know, what a good dog. Walkies. Hippie down. What a clever girl. What a clever boy. Naughty dog with your teeth. Naughty dog.
There aren't too many things in pop culture that have been around as long and as successfully as 60 Minutes. The Rolling Stones are one of them. They began their recording career 5 years before we came on the scene. And when they began a new tour last year, skeptics asked if the Stones aren't too old to rock and roll. But then they were asking the same thing 9 years ago.
Each time they come back to the stage, they do it more successfully than anyone before. Yet what initially created the most attention this time was not the size of their show or the quality of their music. It was their age.
The cliche that was
that was associated with the band for so many years. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is... Well, you're beyond that.
Some of that's still in there, I think. I'm afraid that's still there. I mean, I think that rock and roll is still very much about sexuality, and rock and roll, you have to deliver.
When their tour reached New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz, Mick Jagger joined a traditional New Orleans jazz parade. And Jagger was right at home in the second line.
There have not been many stories on 60 Minutes where the main character is a work of fiction. But that's just what happened when Harry Reasoner went in search of the best movie ever made.
He's looking at you, kid. Anyone who doesn't know that that movie is Casablanca may be excused from class. And please don't come back without a note from your mother. Remember a piano, and this lamp, and the lovely girl sitting at the table, and both the memory of love and the foreshadowing of despair?
Sing it, Sam.
You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss.
I don't suppose then or now young men wind up for good with the young women with whom they first saw Casablanca. I didn't. The story seems to lead to bittersweet endings in real life, too. But you never forget who you first saw it with. I wonder if she remembers. If she does, here's looking at you, kid.
When Leslie Stahl looked into a work of fiction, she found some interesting facts about the most successful writer working today, the woman behind Harry Potter, J.K. Joanne Rowling.
What makes Jo Rowling's success all the more remarkable is what it followed. In 1994, when her marriage to a Portuguese journalist collapsed, she moved here to Edinburgh, Scotland. She had few friends and fewer prospects and ended up on welfare.
On the dole, as they say.
Yeah.
So you were in bad straits.
Yeah, I was in worse straits than I've ever been before or since, yeah.
She'd been playing with the idea of Harry Potter for years by then.
This is really old. This is a photocopy from a textbook when I was teaching in Portugal. And obviously this was what I was supposed to be doing with the children. And on the back, you've got all the ghosts for Gryffindor.
Long before she was published, Rowling had 7 Harry Potter books meticulously plotted out on grids, one for each year Harry spends at wizard school.
This young man is not Harry Potter, but in his own way, he's every bit as amazing. His name is Greg Smith, and when we first met him, he was a 9-year-old and already a senior in high school, a certified boy genius. When Greg was 6, his parents moved from Pennsylvania to Jacksonville, Florida, in order to put him in a school system that would advance him according to his ability.
So that year, I started in 2nd grade trying to get back with my age group. But after 2 months, it wasn't working out, so they moved me to 4th grade. And then for the last quarter of the year, they moved me into 6th grade, also while I was also taking Algebra 1.
So in 1 year, you went from 2nd grade to 4th grade to 6th grade and Algebra 1?
Mm-hmm.
That's a heck of a year.
Yeah. I want to try to find out new cures for diseases. And another one of the things I want to do is be a politician and try to bring peace to the world. And third occupation that I want to do is be an aeronautical engineer and build space stations in space.
You have a plan how many years you'll go to school?
I've estimated that it'll take around 24 years.
24 years to do all of this?
Mm-hmm.
So that then you will be 33 years old?
34.
34. You can't be president until you're 35.
I know. That's the idea that I'm trying to do.
Today, at 13, he is well on his way to fulfilling some of those dreams. On the lecture circuit, he commands $10,000 a speech, and this month, he graduates from Randolph-Macon College in Virginia, cum laude. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to talk with some of the leading actors and actresses of their time, from Betty Davis.
I'd like to kiss you, but I just washed my hair.
I'd love to kiss you, but I just washed my hair.
That's right.
My favorite line in any movie I ever had.
To Nicole Kidman.
I would love to meet somebody. I'd love to be swept off my feet.
To the ever-battling Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
When I insult Elizabeth,
which I frequently do, I do not attack that soft spot in the underbelly. And when she attacks me, double chins.
You bloody well have.
Yeah, she's got a slightly fat belly. I never use
Well, I've
that
got his
thing.
pock marks, you know.
We've met Sean Connery.
I don't like injustice, and I hate stupidity.
Sean Penn.
I want a perfect world. I want to choose all the winners. You do? Yes.
Mel Brooks.
Is that a $100 watch? Let me see that watch.
It's about a $40 watch.
It's a beautiful watch.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
It's a $40 watch.
Really?
Yes. Lights up in the dark.
What a cheap son of a bitch you are.
You got the right.
God.
You're a great judge of character.
Yeah.
Tell me this.
What'd you pay for your jacket?
I don't know. This is hopsack.
Hopsack is like fancy burlap,
That's
right?
exactly
Am I right?
That's exactly
It's like
right.
burlap shrunk down. You know that 6 months ago that your jacket carried coffee beans? Do you realize that? I'm telling you. That came from Colombia, full of coffee. Wait a minute. He reeks of Colombian coffee.
Tom Hanks. You must have some faults.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, you know what? I made a comprehensive list of them. Thank goodness I'm on 60 Minutes now so I can finally get them off my chest.
But for honesty, talent, and sheer vitality, no one compares to Katharine Hepburn.
Well, all my contemporaries have died off, so what's left? I'm in a safe group. I haven't got this romantic feeling about age. I think we rot away, and it's too goddamn bad we do. No.
You are a legend to so many people, I guess just about everyone, because you do not give much of yourself publicly beyond the films.
I mean, it's stupid of me to do this.
And speaking of superstars, Andy Rooney had some ideas on who is and who isn't.
A superstar is always a person who has something more than skill and talent that attracts the rest of us to him. In this business, Walter Cronkite's a superstar. Of the 4 correspondents on 60 Minutes, 2 of them are, and 2 of them aren't.
Presidential candidate Ross Perot gets angry, Jerry Seinfeld gets embarrassed, and Aretha Franklin gets personal when 35 Years and 60 Minutes continues.
Okay, let's say this is your car and you get into an accident. Oh boy. If you take it to an Allstate recommended repair shop, they'll fix it, so you're pretty happy. You're like, woo, I'm pretty happy. Even better, Allstate guarantees the workmanship for as long as you own the car, which means if even the smallest thing goes wrong, you don't have to pay for it. So you're still happy. You're like, woo, I'm still happy. So there you go, the Allstate Lifetime Repair Guarantee.
Call now and find out how you're in good hands with Allstate.
It's powerful. It's beautiful.
I could see that. How did they make it so incredibly smooth? It's technical.
Antonio, tonight you'll drive my car.
Again?
Again.
Introducing the entirely new Lexus RX 330. Putting the world on notice. Again.
Hey, have you called your doctor yet about the purple pill called Nexium? Well, perhaps you should wait till you get home. Find out if Nexium is right for you and visit us at purplepill.com.
Do you need a little help with lawn care? Come into Ace, the helpful place.
It's a beautiful morning.
Ask your doctor today about Vioxx, a prescription medicine from Merck, and find out what Vioxx can do for you. Vioxx.
Serenity Dry Active Liners from Tenna, designed to fit your style.
The 35th anniversary edition of 60 Minutes will continue.
CBS Big Finale Monday. The King of Queens secret for marital bliss? Twin beds.
It's so classy. It's like we're British, but in a good way.
Then it's a yes year flashback to the 80s. The fashion, the hair, the music.
You guys have an iron? I'm going to press our Hall & Oates t-shirts.
Next, take your seat for the wedding all America's been waiting for.
You dance with me today, jerkwad.
You haven't called me that since our wedding.
A special 45-minute Raymond on CBS Big Finale Monday. Plus, catch Dave on an all-new Late Show.
Shania, Dixie Chicks, and more. Live on the Academy of Country Music Awards, CBS Wednesday.
In a head-to-head comparison between Lincoln Town Car and Cadillac DeVille, there were a few surprises. The fact that Town Car has a roomier front seat, more shoulder room, and a bigger trunk was no shock. What was surprising was the source for all this juicy info. Cadillac's own website. Lincoln Town Car. Drive one now for just $489 a month for 39 months with zero cash due at signing. See your tri-state Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
40 years ago, the prettiest girl in Queens married me. So when she chose to spend her final weeks at home, I wanted the best care possible.
The Visiting Nurse Service of New York. We bring the caring home.
Last year, Daddy's heart got sick. That made us all scared. But a nice nurse came and made us all feel better.
The Visiting Nurse Service of New York. We bring the caring home.
Holocaust survivors and their courageous stories, tonight after the movie.
Reporters like to say there are no inappropriate questions, only inappropriate answers. But there are times when all of us on this broadcast have put that adage to the test. Sometimes it's been to fairly important and intimidating people, like the Ayatollah Khomeini, as he held 52 Americans hostage at the U.S. Embassy in Iran.
Imam President Sadat of Egypt, a devoutly religious man, a Muslim, says that what you are doing now is, quote, a disgrace to Islam. And he calls you, Imam, forgive me, his words, not mine, a lunatic. I know that you have heard that comment.
The question staggered the interpreter, who was afraid to translate it. The legendary Admiral Hyman Rickover was as welcoming of critical questions as any Ayatollah, as Diane Sawyer, then a 60 Minutes correspondent, found out.
I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.
It's not just admirals who can be offended by a question. Hollywood royalty expects only polite inquiries, too. Cross over the line with Clint Eastwood, and without a word, he'll let you know with the look.
But you got lots of kids.
Yeah, I like kids a lot.
How many do you have?
I have a few.
7 kids with 5 women, right? Not all of whom you were married to.
No.
You would agree that this was somewhat unconventional.
Yes, it's unconventional, yeah.
When I asked the question about the family, I have to tell you, that is a pretty awesome expression you have right now. I don't think I've had anybody look at me like that before. It's a real Clint Eastwood look. It's intimidating.
Sometimes an interview can be even more uncomfortable than that. Take my encounter with H. Ross Perot. He had charged that his independent presidential bid had been sabotaged by a Republican dirty tricks campaign.
You have been in hot pursuit of this story, and I have agreed to see you.
All
now,
true.
you have completely misrepresented.
What did I misrepresent?
You said I contacted you.
No, I
did
didn't.
not. Yes.
No. Well,
I
let's set it
approached
straight.
you.
No,
Wait,
I didn't say that.
Let's stop the interview for a minute.
I said you invited me to look into this.
Let's stop the interview for a minute.
No,
We'll talk.
I want to settle this. Please sit down.
It's settled. You're not telling the truth, Leslie.
And there was Senator Dennis DeConcini. The senator refused to be interviewed about the very, very generous pensions Congress awards itself. So I chased him down at the Lincoln Memorial, where I was about as welcome as Mike had been in Tehran. I'm wondering if you think it's fair that you, when you retire from Congress, are going to be getting a $55,000 pension right off the bat.
Well, Leslie, you're once again trying to destroy and run down Congress, and you shouldn't do that. You're a grown woman. You ought to have something better to do.
As the senator tried to beat a retreat, I followed along.
Now, you got your right to tear down anybody you want to do, and you're doing a damn good job of it. I'm just sick and tired of it. Good night. Nothing personal.
I know, same. It's not just senators who don't like to be asked about money, as Mike discovered over and over and over again.
$3 to $4 million annually, John. 15 weeks of vacation. Is that what they get? A 3-day work week.
Now, who said I got $3 or $4 million annually?
You know that you do.
Nobody's ever quoted my salary correct, and that's always intrigued me. Nobody's ever had the figure right.
You know what? You have the opportunity at this moment before 40 or 50 million people to straighten us all out.
What do you make a week?
I'd be ashamed to tell you. How much do you make? What's your salary?
That's Panama's then dictator, Manuel Noriega.
Hard question. Simple question.
Break.
Look, you say break. It is my understanding that you make about $50,000 a year in your job. You're a very wealthy man. Where does all the money come from, General Noriega? Your money. You're going to be in Japan, and I'm told it's a $2 million 2 weeks.
They're getting 2 of us. They're working us like crazy.
But it's going to be a well-recompensed 2 weeks.
It is for everybody who goes there, which you probably know. Now, you really didn't need that question.
There's another line of questioning that makes people as uncomfortable as asking about their money. Take Ed and the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin.
Can I ask you about sex?
You want to talk about sex?
Yeah.
On nationwide TV?
On nationwide TV, here in the Family Hour. I mean, it's in a lot of your songs. I mean, it's
sex.
Well, lust.
Come on,
feeling.
Ed. No.
Good feeling.
You got me mixed up with somebody else.
No,
Ed.
I don't mean sex in an overt sense, but a sexual feeling is in a lot of your music.
A sexual feeling.
Yeah.
Would you elaborate on that, please?
Well, you listen to the feeling that comes from your songs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to Give Me My Propers When I Get Home.
Mm-hmm. That's what it does for you.
Sock it to me.
Sock it to me. Lay it on me. Give me a high five. You know what I'm saying?
That too. But, you know, listen, a lot of those things are you know, double meanings.
Okay, double entendres. Okay. Yeah.
That's innocent.
What did you think sock it to me meant?
Was that innocent or coincidental?
Now, what did you think it meant,
Well,
Ed?
you come home and give me my properties.
And when you ask about both money and sex in the same interview, it's enough to make even the unflappable Jerry Seinfeld, at the height of his TV popularity, sweat.
You get a check as a writer.
Yeah.
You get a check as an actor.
Right.
Get a check as a creator.
Right.
You get a check as an executive producer.
Right.
And you get checks every time one of these episodes is shown anywhere in the world.
Right. And I get nothing for doing this. Nothing.
At the time, Seinfeld was involved with a UCLA student nearly half his age.
I think maybe it's because I'm so immature and she's so mature that we meet in the middle.
You think you're immature?
Oh, yeah.
In what ways?
Name one. Name one.
Sexually?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean?
I'm embarrassed.
Huh?
I am not going to talk about being sexually immature on 60 Minutes.
But you think you are?
It's not 60 swinging minutes, you know.
Right, right.
If you think questions about sex and money can be a source of discomfort, try questions about race, as Ed Bradley did with one of the most successful writers working today, Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison.
You told me that your father felt morally superior to whites because of the way that he had seen black people treated by whites in his life. You feel the same way?
No, I don't feel quite the same way as he did. With very few exceptions, I feel that white people will betray me. That in the final analysis, they'll give me up. If the trucks pass and they have to make a choice, they'll put me on that truck. That's really what I feel. By the way, there are lots of black people who put me on that truck also, so I'm not trying to demonize the white race. It's just a kind of a constant vigilance and awareness that maybe these relationships can go just so far.
The question of race couldn't be avoided when Harry Reasoner profiled the quirky jazz genius Miles Davis.
Are you anti-white?
Not all the time.
It's encouraging. Not right now, for instance, I hope.
And here's Lena Horne with Ed in a part of their fabled conversation as she discusses her second husband.
He was Lenny Hayton, a musical arranger, and that was okay. But he was also white and Jewish, and that was a problem. For 3 years, they kept the marriage a secret.
Why did you marry him?
Because he had more entree than the black man.
Did you love him?
Not at first. I learned to. He loved me very much, and I learned to love him because of how good he was to me and patient and the things he taught me. And he could come in the club with me and ask for this and that and the other, and that would happen. Where a colored man, I revert to that word because in those days that's what we said, couldn't get me a job, you understand? And I had to love him for that. But you see, then I began to be very hungry for him to see me as black.
Even Andy Rooney has ventured into sensitive areas.
We've all heard a lot about Camp David, the presidential retreat in Maryland, but we don't know what it looks like. So I decided to go to Catoctin Mountain myself to see how close I could get to Camp David. It was a lovely drive up the mountain to Camp David. Too bad the president goes by helicopter. We turned in off the main road and kept going a few hundred yards to the guardhouse at the gate. We got what you'd call a very cool reception from some of the company of Marines guarding the place when they came. They came on the double, one of them at Port Arms. We wondered if we could get permission to take any pictures.
No, sir, I'm terribly sorry, but you cannot.
All right. We screwing up the detail there?
Yes, sir. You're going to have to wait here for just a couple minutes.
Okay,
so
sure.
Contacted the park police, and
okay.
We're going to need to fill out a form, all right?
Sure.
Okay, could you wait there, please, sir?
Sure.
Can you turn that camera off, please?
The Marines frisked our car, had us fill out intruder forms, and asked Bob Peterson, the cameraman, to turn over the tape in his camera. We have those pictures you saw because, by mistake, Bob gave them a blank tape.
Andy Rooney takes a look behind the scenes at some 60 Minutes moments you were never supposed to see when our 35th anniversary celebration continues.
Free your head without clouding your mind. Now you can have non-drowsy relief from sneezing, sniffling, and your stuffy head. Prescription strength Claritin D targets all your worst allergy symptoms, even congestion and sinus pressure, without medicine haze. Help open your sinuses, reawaken your senses. Non-drowsy Claritin D. Clarity for mind, body, and spirit.
if manufacturers could get that they could cut it to be a size 12, but they should just put a size 6 label on it, they'd sell so many more. All right, where is this bus? I cannot believe I missed the bus. I'm not stopping at the donut shop anymore. I mean, that's ridiculous. I'll go straight to the bakery. They're open here. Oh, hi, Mr. Man with the buns and the perfect calves. I could have calves like that. I have a treadmill somewhere.
Sweet strawberries, crunchy flakes, just 110 calories. Special K red berries. Help yourself.
What is that? He's an African pygmy hedgehog. Wow. You want to play with him?
Yeah.
Here.
Cute.
Let me get this.
Ooh, it's prickly too.
That looks good.
Oh.
Hey, Dad. Remember Kevin?
Thought he was a keeper.
Well, that's why we have video phones.
See, that's what I'm talking about. T-Mobile. Get more.
When these marigolds were potted, they were the same size. The difference? This. Miracle Grow potting mix.
Premium organic materials plus Miracle Grow plant food mixed in. So plants grow twice as big. Have you used Miracle Grow lately?
Sure, sometimes life spins out of control. So how do you stay on top of things? With Taster's Choice coffee. The rich roast flavor and aroma really gets you going. So you can handle whatever's in your path. Taster's Choice. Advantage you.
Buying a house can be rough. At Coldwell Banker, we can't do enough. At Coldwell Banker, we'll find you a home, help you make it your own, with agents that sure know their stuff.
Buying or selling, a Coldwell Banker agent is your perfect partner in real estate. And with our concierge service, we can get you all the help you need to turn your house into a home.
ColdwellBanker.com.
Log on.
Working on this broadcast gives us access not only to remarkable people, but to remarkable places as well. We take you where you've never been and show you what you've never seen. Where else could you have learned about Finland's strange obsession?
These are Finns in their natural state, brooding, private, grimly in touch with no one but themselves, the shyest people on Earth, depressed and proud of it, isolated by Arctic geography and a language of alphabet soup gone crazy.
So what do they do about this clinical shyness, this almost terminal melancholy? They come to places like this, there are 2,000 of them in the country, pay their 50 markas, that's about $12, and take part in what has become a kind of national obsession, the tango.
The Finnish tango is not to be confused with the groin-grinding, passionate Latin American version. The Finns have managed to neutralize all that. It's a sad shuffle in a minor key, with lyrics to reaffirm a couple's instinctive sense of hopelessness.
The tango halls of Helsinki seem a very, very long way from the imaginary environs Steve Croft brought us to when he went on a road trip to Margaritaville for a visit with Jimmy Buffett.
He's 50 years old, a little round in the middle and a little thin on top, an unlikely music star. But watch him perform his signature song, Margaritaville, before a crowd of more than 20,000 like this one, and you could mistake Jimmy Buffett for the leader of some strange tropical cult.
It's been wonderful for me, and I feel so privileged to have fans that are that loyal. But on some days, I want to go to them, get a life, you know? It's just made up.
There was nothing made up about Morley Safer's trip to a tropical paradise, the Maldive Islands and the Indian Ocean. But when he set sail for one of them, Morley discovered that despite what anyone tells you, it is a long way to Furudu.
And here we are, on board the good ship Dandahelu, bound from Mali to Furudu. We've been at sea all of a night and most of a day, and still no sight of land. The Maldivian sense of time and distance needs some working on. We were told the trip would take 6 hours. We are rapidly approaching day 3.
It is on rare days like this that you must ask, do they really pay me to do this? Yes.
Steve Croft has twice brought us to the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. The first time was just 4 years after the accident that turned the nearby city of Pripyat into a radioactive ghost town.
It was home for 45,000 atomic workers and their families. The only sign of life is the music, piped in continuously to keep the decontamination crews that have to be here from going crazy.
4 years later, Steve returned to Chernobyl. This time, he was allowed to go inside what is almost certainly the most dangerous building in the world, the concrete sarcophagus that envelops the ruins of the doomed power plant.
It was like walking into another world or entering the wreck of the Titanic. The only sound, your own footsteps and breathing, and the ever-present chatter of the Geiger counter. There were walls and walls of rusty dials and gauges that must have gone haywire that April morning in 1986. They're frozen now in the moment of disaster.
As the Cold War ended, Ed Bradley and Russian journalist Artyom Borovik brought us to other places in the former Soviet Union once unseen by Americans, including the silos that, at the time, housed missiles targeted at the United States.
General, how long would it take for this missile to reach the United States?
30-35 minutes.
It's ready to fire at any time.
Yes, it's ready to be launched any minute of the day.
On the way to the control room, we ran into a 25-year-old captain married with 2 children and a major, 26, another father of 2. General Gribov took us to the same area the launch officers had just left. And then a moment of embarrassment for the general. The elevator wouldn't work. And you wonder what else around here could malfunction. You don't like to think about it.
For thousands of years, nobody has wanted to think about the Kurds either. At least not till this year's Iraq War. But 12 years ago, Leslie Stahl ventured into northern Iraq to find out just who the Kurds are.
It was fear of annihilation that drove hundreds of thousands of Kurds into the mountains of northern Iraq near the Turkish border in the spring of 1991. That's where we went, into the teeming refugee camps, right after Saddam was defeated by the United States in the Gulf War. The Kurds had risen up against him, and so he turned what was left of his army on them, sending them fleeing. Who are the Kurds? They are as distinct a people as the Italians or the Russians, with their own ancient language and customs. They are a nation. They just don't have their own country. They never have.
Diane Sawyer evoked memories of a different war from writer James Michener. She returned with him to the South Pacific, where during World War II, he'd created one of the most enduring of American stories. His Tales of the South Pacific went from book to musical to movie to legend.
The Little Island Band had been practicing for days, getting ready for James Michener's return. All the island people turned out too, the people who form a rainbow of colors and races. The same kind of people who were here during the war. French and Australians, Wallace Islanders, Caledonians, Fijians, and beautiful blends of each.
You know, it was a splendid place. There was festivity, there was gaiety. When I came here, I was probably the oldest man in America who had been drafted. It was illegal to draft me. I was almost 36 years old. And I had knocked around. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
And when you left, who were you?
Well, I left with a suitcase carrying a manuscript of a novel that was going to change my life.
A lot of people's lives were changed when Harry Reasoner paid a visit to the small town of Tutwiler, Mississippi, and introduced us to a nun-turned-doctor.
Ann Brooks, Dr. Ann Brooks, the only doctor in Tutwiler. For the past 7 years, this patch of Mississippi poverty has been her home, and the people on the brink have been her patients.
If a person is economically poorly off, they're so busy surviving that health actually doesn't hold a very important place. They're busy trying to eat, trying to find food, possibly trying even to find a place to live.
When Ann Brooks came to Tutwiler, there hadn't been a doctor in town in 10 years. She and her sister nuns not only set up a health clinic, they started a community center, too. They also organized a quilt-making business.
It isn't that they were troublemakers and you wanted to keep them busy.
Yeah, well, we wanted to keep them off the streets and in the house.
When their story first aired, viewers flooded them with orders. 2 years' worth of work.
Sit up for me.
We went back to catch up with Dr. Brooks this spring, and a lot has changed in Tutwiler.
After the 60 Minutes piece aired, it was absolutely incredible. It was as if every person in America suddenly cared about us. People began to send things. We had the ability to put a whole wing on the clinic, which made it so much easier to see our patients. It's like having a big family out there.
Morley Safer's essays about the odd, the absurd, the exotic have become his signature on 60 Minutes. For instance, this excursion aboard the Orient Express.
Suppose you had a few dollars and you had to get from Paris to Istanbul. Then this is how you would go. First class on the Orient Express. The Orient Express is the train. Every good novelist and every bad one has used it as a setting.
Madame la Princesse, mes hommages.
Who knows who will be on board? A couple of spies, for sure. At least one Grand Duke, a few beautiful women, no doubt, very rich and very troubled. And before our journey is done, there will be at least one murder. For anything can happen, and usually does, on the Orient Express.
I must apologize for intruding on your privacy.
Oh, please, you're not intruding.
What an unpleasant journey.
With all that's part of the fiction of the Orient Express, the fact is, in the train's near 100-year history, there's only been one mysterious death. Some years ago, an American diplomat lost his footing, slipped from the train, and died shortly after he was stabbed.
That's an operatic way to end a life. And so is what goes on in this building, Casa Verde, the home for retired opera singers in Milan.
When you put 100 soloists under the same roof, it is not impossible to find a certain amount of vanity. Each person I spoke to here said they loved this place, but each one wondered what all those untalented others were doing here.
No one ever said that opera or old age is easy.
A few years ago, Leslie Stahl found an Italian cultural institution nearly as imponderable as opera for most Americans. In spite of having good jobs, girlfriends, and even their own private apartments, nearly half of all Italian men in their 20s and 30s and 40s still live at home with Mama. They are the Mammoni.
Take the Boemo household. Every morning, Signora Boemo, age 77, wakes up at 5 to squeeze fresh orange juice for Giorgio. At 7, she's on her way to the local 15th century church to light candles and tidy up a bit. By the time Giorgio gets home for lunch, his mother has washed his clothes, ironed his clothes, cleaned his room, and of course, cooked him a fabulous meal. Remember, Giorgio is 39. How would you describe living here?
Paradiso.
Paradiso.
Yes.
Living
Paradiso.
with Mama.
Si.
Since we've spent so much time over the past 35 years peeking into other people's lives, it seemed only fair when Andy decided you deserved a look at what goes on behind the scenes here.
All sorts of things go wrong. Can be something as simple as a fly.
Tampa, Florida. I'm sorry. Okay.
Or hair. The correspondents don't like it when one hair on their pretty heads is out of place.
And so
They want to look just perfect. When everything else is right and the correspondent's ready to go, he or she gets halfway through and forgets what it is he wants to say.
Oh, come on. Keep going. Keep it rolling. Get out of the way, will you please, kid?
In the course of a year, the correspondents talk to a lot of people. Even when they get someone to sit down for an interview, It isn't always easy to get answers.
When you confessed,
Yeah?
did they tell you what to say?
Did they?
Tell you what to say. When you confessed, did they tell you what to say?
Well, I'm...
When you confessed, did they...
No. My mother was not asked.
No, not your mother. When you confessed...
Yeah.
Did they tell you what you should say?
Was my mother?
No.
Sometimes the correspondents haven't been able to resist getting into the act themselves. Ed danced.
Boom, boom, diddly was good.
Leslie danced.
And boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Steve always throws himself into his work. In this case, a river. Fortunately, my hair's never out of place.
Mike probably has his own hairdresser come with him when he goes someplace.
They go like this. When it comes to taping my pieces, nothing goes wrong.
Tell him no autographs, will you? I don't want to. You keep the crowds back and I'll do the piece.
Coming up, the words that haunted Richard Nixon and the deeds that haunted Jack Kevorkian when 35 years and 60 minutes continues.
You know what I love, Pollen? Allergy medicines that don't last very long.
Yeah, ragweed. They make it easy to make them suffer.
One dose of most allergy medicines doesn't work as long as you want, but just one Allegra 180 lasts up to 4 times longer than most OTC allergy medicines.
Allegra just made life as an allergen tougher.
For people 12 and over, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. For your seasonal allergy symptoms, ask your doctor about Allegra.
So when does our Allegra quit working?
Maybe when allergy season's over?
Allegra, the relief goes on.
Best way to clean teeth? The dentist. What do thousands use? Same thing Arm & Hammer Complete Care does. Dental baking soda. Deep clean stains regular toothpaste can't reach. Cleans, whitens, freshens. Try new Complete Care. Your whole mouth will feel fresh from the dentist clean.
Need proof that Scoop Away's new odor fighters control odor better than Tidy Cats?
Ha! Scoop Away. Control stinky odors better.
My brother Danny and me, for as long as I can remember, we've been competitive about everything. He got a new truck, I got a bigger one. I've got a family, he's got a bigger one. That's the way it's always been. Then my doctor tells me to start taking an aspirin every day for my heart. Just one St. Joseph aspirin. It's smaller than a regular aspirin, but he says that's all I need. So maybe bigger isn't always better. Try telling him that.
St. Joseph aspirin. Trust it with all your heart.
Not yet. Still not. Nope. Getting warmer. Now it's official. It's not really summer until you have your ballpark.
Only Ballpark Franks have such a big, juicy taste. They plump when you cook them.
Don't you just love summer?
Bite into the big taste of a Ballpark single, individually wrapped for freshness.
You see my phone?
It's on your night table.
When your wireless service is so reliable, you can't live without it. That's Semlight. Calling plans from $19.99 a month.
Yeah? Can I leave my keys in there?
The 35th anniversary edition of 60 Minutes will continue.
Critics call Hitler the rise of evil epic, chilling, spellbinding.
As soon as my plans are set, you'll be the first to know.
Robert Carlyle gives a performance that is mesmerizing.
Compromise is not possible!
Hitler, the rise of evil. CBS next.
Tuesday, the desperate search for one of JAG's finest begins.
I can find her, sir.
The JAG season finale that will blow you away. All new CBS Tuesday.
Catch the Everybody Loves Raymond 45-minute winning season finale, CBS Monday.
Glenn Peterson has 3 growing kids and a budget to stick to, so ShopRite's helping him provide the best at low prices. In addition to over 2,000 weekly sale items, Glenn's Price Plus card gives him even more discounts.
Make ShopRite your holiday cookout headquarters. This twin pack of top round London broil, $1.49 a pound with your Price Plus Club card. And Ballpark or Conn's Meat Franks half price, 89 cents with your Price Plus Club card.
Always fresh and always fresh. ShopRite.
We had bought the house many years ago. There was quite a bit of work that was needed to be done. We recently redid the girls' 2 rooms, new carpeting. When you start one project, you know, what's next to it needs to be done because that makes the first project look bad. Redid the molding, the trim, picked up the phone, called Fleet. Fleet was right there for me. They helped me look at our priorities. You gotta be smart about these things. We've just recently done the faux painting.
We help the Sarasanis make smarter decisions with their money so they can move forward with their life.
Now we're in
Skylights, here
now
we
we're
go.
in trouble.
The treatment more people are turning to get rid of severe heel pain. Monday at 11.
Not all of the famous people we've talked to over the years have brought smiles to our faces. There may have been no more chilling interview in all our time on the air than the Ed Bradley talk with the Oklahoma City bomber, Timothy McVeigh.
Am I pure evil? Am I the face of terror sitting here in front of you?
Most people in this country think you are the face of evil, don't they?
They do.
Everyone in America saw the pictures on television, heard the news on the radio. What was your reaction when you saw those pictures?
I think, like everyone else, I thought it was a tragic event. And that's all I really want to say.
And the children?
I thought it was terrible that there were children in the building.
I know you have a lot of time to sit here and think.
Yes.
If you had your life to live over, is there anything you'd do differently?
I think anybody in life says, I wish I could have gone back and done this differently, done that differently. There are moments, but no one that stands out.
Look over a list of national and historic figures during these past 3.5 decades, and you'll find a good many of them have appeared on 60 Minutes. Richard Nixon was on our very first broadcast, and during an interview a few months later, he told Mike Wallace something that, in the light of the Watergate scandal, may have provided 60 Minutes with its most ironic moment.
Let me make this one point. Some public men are destined to be loved, and other public men are destined to be disliked. But the most important thing about a public man is not whether he's loved or disliked, but whether he's respected. And I hope to restore respect to the presidency.
Lyndon B. Johnson, 2 years out of office, had one complaint. History was unfair.
World War II was Mr. Roosevelt's war. And Korea was Mr. Truman's war. And President Kennedy was spared that cruel action because his period it was known as Mr. McNamara's war. And then it became Mr. Johnson's war. And now they refer to it as Mr. Nixon's war and talking about getting out. I think it's very cruel to have that burden placed upon a president.
Lyndon Johnson felt mistreated by history. But back on the ranch, Ronald Reagan was preparing to run for president, and he had the air of someone history was about to embrace.
Here you are in your 600, 700 acres up here at the top of the most beautiful part of California. Horses, family. What in the world would persuade you?
I don't know. Somebody once said life begins when you begin to serve. Maybe if there's a feeling that you can be of service and you feel you have to do it.
Over the years, the Middle East has preoccupied a series of American presidents, and of course a long series of Arab and Israeli leaders. Most of them have appeared on 60 Minutes, some over and over and over again. Golda Meir, Anwar Sadat, Menachem Begin, Yasser Arafat, King Hussein, King Abdullah, Hosni Mubarak, Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin, Benjamin Netanyahu, Ariel Sharon, Yasser Arafat. Perhaps the most difficult leader ever to appear on 60 Minutes was former Russian President Boris Yeltsin. Here's what happened on Yeltsin's tennis court when Leslie Stahl had the impertinence to ask Yeltsin the kind of questions a Russian president just doesn't want to hear.
I did a story in St. Petersburg. Children's Hospital #1 in St. Petersburg.
Мы были в первой клинике детской в Санкт-Петербурге.
No medicine.
Но там, к сожалению, не было ни медицинских препаратов.
We saw 2 babies die because they didn't have antibiotics.
И из-за нехватки антибиотиков при нас умерли 2 ребенка.
No bandages.
Then why don't you give us antibiotics?
No bandages.
You are a rich country. I have my own mother who had a heart attack. She is lying in a hospital ward with 10 other patients. There's no medicine to treat her heart. I myself had to bring some medicine for her from Moscow. And this is the mother of a president.
He stomped away, clearly furious, saying the interview is over. He walked off, leaving me with pages of questions I never got to ask.
We've had a close look at the men who've changed China. Deng Xiaoping.
Pleasure.
And Jiang Zemin.
You are, it seems to me, a dictator, an authoritarian.
No, but I, very frank speaking, I don't agree with your point. I'm dictator.
I know you don't. I know that you don't. But there's an old American phrase about if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and so forth, it's a duck.
Your way of describing what things are like in China is as absurd as what the Arabian Nights may sound like.
But when we talk about dictatorship, I'm wagging my finger at the president of China.
On some occasions over the years, 60 Minutes has not just recorded history, we've made it. Last fall, without wagging her finger, Leslie Stahl asked former Vice President Al Gore about his political future.
Are you or are you not going to run in 2004? Are you going to run?
Well, I've decided not to run. And
You've decided not to run.
I've decided that I will not be a candidate for president in 2004.
And we made culinary history when we introduced the French paradox to America. The paradox: why do the French, with their fat-laden, cream-rich, cheese-filled diet, have fewer heart attacks than Americans? In looking for the answer, we also brought an unlikely health food out of the shadows: red wine. There has been for years the belief by doctors in many countries that alcohol, in particular red wine, reduces the risk of heart disease. Now it's been all but confirmed. The answer to the riddle, the explanation of the paradox, may lie in this inviting glass. Another very different kind of medical story also made history. It's one of the most controversial pieces ever aired on 60 Minutes. Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who'd helped more than 100 patients kill themselves, revealed that he had personally killed one of his patients and provided us with a tape of the death of a man suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease.
You killed him. I did, but it could be manslaughter, not murder. It's not necessarily murder. But it doesn't bother me what you call it. I know what it is. This could never be a crime in any society which deems itself enlightened.
Dr. Kevorkian was convicted of murder and sentenced to 10 to 25 years in prison, based largely on his tape and the interview. Someone else did a lot better after a 60 Minutes interview. It was on a special edition of the broadcast after the Super Bowl in 1992. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary were attempting to save his candidacy from a scandal.
Who is Jennifer Flowers? You know her.
Oh, yes.
How do you know? How would you describe your relationship?
Very limited.
I'm assuming from your answer that you're categorically denying that you ever had an affair with Jennifer Flowers.
I've said that before, and so has she.
You've said that your marriage has had problems, that you've had difficulties. What do you mean by that? Does that mean that you had communication problems? Does that mean you contemplated divorce? Does it mean adultery?
I think the American people, at least people that have been married for a long time, know what it means and know the whole range of things that it can mean.
What didn't air on that original broadcast was a frightening moment when, as Mrs. Clinton defended her husband, a light pole on the ceiling let go.
Mary and Joseph.
All right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Gosh.
2 years later, Steve was profiling Senator Bob Dole when the senator and the now President Clinton met at a Washington restaurant. Mr. Clinton had a warning.
When they interviewed me, they nearly killed us all. The lights fell down.
Wonder whatever happened to those two. A few years ago, all of us got to interview the President of the United States. Everybody but Andy.
Last week, Morley, Leslie, Mike, Steve, and Ed interviewed President Clinton in the White House. I thought 3 of them were very good. I was thinking about some of the questions I might have asked if I'd been there. Mr. President, you were half an hour late showing up for the interview. How can you do a thing like that?
I can do it because I'm the president.
If you're reelected, you're still only going to be 56 when you become an ex-president. When your term as president is over and you're free to live anywhere you want to, what one city would you most like to live in?
In Dayton.
Well, I didn't get to meet Mr. Clinton, but I'd like to point out that I'm the only correspondent here who shook hands with President Franklin D. Roosevelt at a press conference in 1944. Yeah.
An FBI agent goes undercover and under the covers. Mike goes where he isn't wanted. And our proudest moment and worst controversy, when 35 years and 60 minutes continues.
Is it safe? Yeah, but hurry. This better be quick. Come on, come on, come on. Whoa, there's no way we can beat Dollar's rates. Hey, how are ya? Meeting's starting. Let's go. Yeah, I'm coming. Yes. Dollar.com? Yeah, from now on. I can't afford us.
When it's your money you're spending, log on for our lowest rates at Dollar.com.
Are you living with mild or moderate eczema? Do you get an itchy rash? Do you moisturize all the time? Have you tried prescription treatments and other things to care for your skin? When you and your doctor find other treatments don't work for you, there's concern about their risks, or you simply can't tolerate them. There's steroid-free Elidel. Elidel is a different way to control mild or moderate eczema. You can use Elidel for repeated courses as directed by your doctor. And Elidel can be used anywhere on your skin, even on children as young as 2. There is no cure for eczema, but Elidel can help relieve the symptoms. The most common side effects were a feeling of warmth or burning where applied, headache, cold symptoms such as sore throat and cough, and rarely viral skin infection. You should also avoid unprotected exposure to the sun and sun lamps.
Ask your doctor if steroid-free Elidel is right for you.
Call 1-8774 Elidel. It's the #1 dermatologist prescribed brand for eczema.
When you're looking for a home, your real estate agent is a big part of your life. You need someone you can count on.
I wish you were closer to a school.
RE/MAX agents average more experience and more sales than other agents. Tell us what you want. RE/MAX. Outstanding agents. Outstanding results.
What is that? He's an African pygmy hedgehog. Wow. You want to play with him?
Yeah.
Here.
Cute.
Let me get this.
Ooh, it's prickly too.
Looks good.
Oh.
Hey, Dad. Remember Kevin?
Thought he was a keeper.
Well, that's why we have video phones.
See, that's what I'm talking about. T-Mobile. Get more.
Ladies and gentlemen, the technology offensive has begun. Observe. Laser-guided adaptive cruise control, a rear-view camera, suspension that lowers at speed, headlights that turn to illuminate your path on curves.
Enough. So, what do we do now?
Introducing the entirely new Lexus RX 330. Putting the world on notice again.
What do we do now?
The 35th anniversary edition of 60 Minutes will continue.
Dave welcomes actor Mark Wahlberg. All new Monday.
Sleek, refined, redesigned. The 2003 Chevy Silverado Z71. The next big thing from Chevy. Get a 2003 Silverado Z71 with great Smart Buy financing. Call for residency restrictions and other details. How's that for a reason to buy? Strength and power never look so good. See your local Chevy dealer.
If the night seems to be made for wearing a bikini, and dancing is as spontaneous as walking, if a trip to the market is a trip to the past, you're not dreaming. You're in Puerto Rico.
CBS 2 exposes the area's dirtiest rest stop restaurants, Monday at 11.
Early on, 60 Minutes gained something of a reputation, in no small part because of a certain correspondent's way of showing up where he was least welcome.
You're Alan Gorin? I want to talk to you about the franchise business because I've heard that you know a good deal about it.
I don't know a thing about it.
Be careful because I'm going to call my lawyer right now.
No comments.
I want you to talk to me.
Not going to talk.
You're contemptible. I mean, that's not for the camera. I'd like you to get out of here.
Dan, if you don't leave him a call, sheriff, and have you taken off the lot.
Gotcha. That's a good idea. I'll stand right here. You call the sheriff. You call the sheriff right now.
I sure will.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's scuttling like cockroaches around here. I don't understand. They must be ashamed of something. Eventually, it reached the point where even the most innocent visit from the most benign of correspondents could cause panic. As I said, we've got a reputation.
I'm Mike Wallace, I'm Marley Schaefer, and I'm Ed Bradley. All this and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
Among the places we've caused panic was this meat locker. Dan Rather, at the time a 60 Minutes correspondent, had a counterfeit stamp the wholesaler used to turn inferior meat into choice grade cuts.
Could you explain to me what this stamp is?
I think probably what you guys ought to do is leave.
I don't understand.
Well, I don't think it's fair. I don't believe that that's at all fair.
I got it from someone who told me that you used that to put a different kind of stamp on the meat than the store buyer put on his own meat.
Is that right?
And I'll be happy to have you explain it.
Certainly, I'm disappointed in you. Really, I am.
Yeah, I'd like to have back that stamp, if you don't mind.
Come on, I'll give it to you.
Mike Wallace.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Whatever it is, I didn't do it.
And we've had some moments like this.
I'm not going to comment on any of this.
When Mike set out to investigate some Florida pawn shops that seemed all too willing to sell stolen goods.
I want to show you a tape.
A tape?
A tape.
Well, I'm right in the middle of doing inventory.
This will take 5 minutes. You're giving money for property that you know has been stolen.
No, we don't know. How would we have any way of knowing it was stolen?
If I were to come in here...
Right.
Looking homeless. I have a prison ID. I don't even know what my stuff is. Isn't that a little suspicious to you?
I would definitely find it a little suspicious.
Well, you happen to be here at that time.
I didn't even see the deal. I was with somebody else.
And then he reminded me of something I'd said earlier.
If this was going to take 5 minutes. The longest 5 minutes of my life.
We've uncovered documents showing the attacks on 2 Navy destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin, the incident that led to the Vietnam War, may never have taken place. We've revealed falsified maintenance records in the Marine Corps' troubled Osprey aircraft program. We've shown how the gasoline additive MTBE was intended to clean the air, but also polluted the water. And then there was 60 Minutes' most memorable investigation.
Could Len L. Jeter have been a successful engineer who went out to rob fast food restaurants on his lunch hour or coffee breaks or after work? It all happened with the armed robbery of this Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant in Greenville, Texas on August 9th, 1982 by a young black male.
Jeter was doing life in prison for that robbery. About the only evidence against Jeter were the shaky memories of 5 eyewitnesses. But when we began to investigate, we found witnesses that broke the case wide open.
Elaine Moody was a customer that day in the Greenville Kentucky Fried Chicken. She, too, saw the robber. But more important, she was an employee at E-Systems and knew Linnell Jeter.
He is very friendly, and he always called me by my name.
So you were on a first-name basis?
Yes.
So had that been Linnell Jeter in there holding up that restaurant?
I think he would have said hello.
10 days after that report aired, Linnell Jeter was freed. He went on to marry and have 3 daughters, and he's developed a second career as a motivational speaker. We've met a veritable army of spies over the years who betrayed their country for many different reasons. For FBI agent Richard Miller, it was love, an affair with a Russian agent named Svetlana.
I'm not a spy. I'm not Mata Hari. I'm not sexual maniac like people say about me. It's not true. Do I look like I'm sexual maniac?
Sexual maniac?
Yeah, how they call me? Sexual, what they call me, sexual Mata Hari.
You were having an affair with Svetlana.
Well, I looked at that as part of the scenario.
Scenario?
Well, I know what the classic guidelines are to be recruited. I was trying to get myself recruited, but I was trying to do it for and behalf of the FBI.
You were getting yourself recruited almost every night.
Those recruitment exercises with Svetlana cost Richard Miller 9 years in federal prison. America changed profoundly after September 11, 2001. But in many ways, 60 Minutes coverage of September 11th began years, even decades, before the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. 23 years ago, Dan Rather reported from the mountains of Afghanistan. It was our first look at that country's Islamic guerrilla fighters, some of whom would eventually form the Taliban government and provide a haven for al-Qaeda terrorists.
We were smuggled into Afghanistan by a young mujahideen. Mujahideen, the Muslim word for freedom fighter, or fighter in a holy war.
In her very first special assignment for 60 Minutes, CNN's Christiane Amanpour reported on life in Afghanistan under the Taliban.
It's the Afghan women who have borne the brunt of the new draconian code. If they venture into the street, this is their view of the world. They are ordered to cover their body from head to toe. If you're wondering why I can walk around not covered from head to foot, it's because the rules are more relaxed for Western women. But if Afghan women don't comply, the punishment is beating or prison. But you don't see that many women in public these days because they've been banished from offices and schools.
Bob Simon brought us into the mind of suicide bombers with this conversation with a Palestinian who was arrested in Israel before he could detonate his explosive belt.
When you were shown the bomb for the first time, did it make you nervous?
No. I was calm. I was very calm.
Who recruited him and gave him the bomb? His older brother.
I took his hand and kissed it because he wanted to give me something very precious.
When your brother encouraged you to become a martyr, in fact, it was your brother saying to you that he wanted you to die. Did that bother you in any way?
He wasn't trying to make me wear an explosive belt. He was giving me a heavenly robe to wear.
In the days and weeks following September 11th, we looked at airport security, the Immigration Service's failure to keep track of aliens, at the vulnerability of nuclear power plants and shipping ports. During those days, we watched a country pull together as mourning families carried on, and a city within a city grew up around Ground Zero as volunteers pitched in.
Since day one, they lined up by the thousands, volunteering to help in any way they could. There was such a huge turnout that many were turned away.
How many hours a day do you put in?
16, 17 hours.
So you've been doing this for over a month now. How long can you continue?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes. And this is pure volunteer. I mean, you're not being paid for any of this. Now, I can see the tears in your eyes.
Oh, it's very personal for me. My friend Todd is in there. When I come down here, I talk to him. I want him to know that I'm here with him, that he's not alone. girls have kept me going as police officers and everyone around.
And we watched as a shattered investment firm attempted to resume what would never again be business as usual.
At 9 o'clock last Tuesday morning, Frankie and Bruce were standing at their desk waiting for the market to open so they could trade. The market never opened, and they never got to make those trades. The market is going to open today, and we're going to make those trades. Yes, our friends are gone. The desk is gone. We're here, and make no mistake, Bruce and Frankie are here, and they're watching us, and we're not going to disappoint them.
60 Minutes has adapted and changed many times over the years. Correspondents and contributors have changed. Our features have changed. We've even been through a few different stopwatches and survived a few controversies, the worst of which was not of our making. It happened when the people who ran CBS at the time refused to let us broadcast an interview with an important cigarette industry insider. Dr. Jeffrey Wigand had confirmed information we uncovered that the industry was lying about the hazards of nicotine. When CBS management spiked the story, we went on the air explaining what happened and reporting all of the information except for the name of Dr. Wigand.
Why? Because he had to sign a confidentiality agreement with the tobacco company he worked for, an agreement that prohibits him from talking about anything he learned while he was employed by them. It even says that, quote, all information acquired by you, including this agreement, cannot be divulged. The management of CBS has told us that knowing he had that agreement, if we were to broadcast an interview with him, CBS could be faced with a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit.
And that CBS management feared would jeopardize a pending corporate merger. We eventually aired the entire original story 3 months later. The executives who killed the cigarette story are gone. 60 Minutes is still here. Andy Rooney had some thoughts on lawsuits against big corporations.
I've been thinking of quitting work here and suing big companies for a living instead. Suing has become a popular American pastime, and I'd like to get in on some of that easy money. I know who I'd sue if I quit my job here. I started working at CBS in 1949, and look at the condition I'm in. Hair gray, face wrinkled, brain dead, all bent over. I mean, I'm a mess. I didn't get this way anyplace else. CBS did it to me, and I'll bet that if I get a good trial lawyer and sue, I could quit working on 60 Minutes and retire. I'd split the billions I'd collect 90% and 10% with the trial lawyer. He'd get 90% and I'd get 10.
Coming up, the music of Pavarotti, Billy Joel, and Sheryl Crow. And what's Mike Wallace doing on stage with Tina Turner when our 35th anniversary celebration continues?
I'm not taking any chances.
I'm not putting it off a minute longer.
58% of women in their 50s have thinning bones, and risk increases with age. But a quick and painless bone density test can tell if your bones are thinning. If they are, this is the age of Fosamax. Fosamax once weekly is for postmenopausal women at risk for or with osteoporosis. It's proven to help reverse bone loss. You should not use Fosamax if you have certain disorders of the esophagus, are unable to stand or sit upright for 30 minutes, have severe kidney disease, or low blood calcium. Before use, talk to your doctor if you have stomach or digestive problems. Stop taking Fosamax and tell your doctor if you develop new or worsening heartburn, difficult or painful swallowing, or chest pain, because these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
Bone density test?
Bone density test. Sounds like a good idea to me.
Ask your doctor about a bone density test and if Fosamax is right for you. This is the age of Fosamax, helping reverse bone loss.
We make products that work in your home. We wait until we've got a product that's better than what's out there, that the consumer can see the difference in. Then we'll go to market. It's the duty to our heritage, and it's a duty to our consumer. I'm certain that what we are doing now not only will go into the next generation, but the generation after that.
S.C. Johnson, a family company.
change the way you move through the world. The V6 Nissan Altima.
More fun. More playful. More satisfied. More choice. All the nutrition. Great taste. More happy. More strut. Living life to the fullest. More frisky. Dry food, wet food, treats. Friskies for more.
I am Emmett Smith.
I'm Emmett Smith.
I'm Emmett Smith.
I am
Emmett Smith.
I am Emmett Smith.
No, really, I am.
Worried that the you shopping online isn't really you? That's why there's Verified by Visa, a security service that helps protect Visa cards from unauthorized online use with a personal password. This service is only available on select Visa cards issued by participating financial institutions.
I am Emmett Smith.
Please. To learn more and to check if your card is eligible for this service, go to visa.com/verified.
CBS Monday on the CSI Miami season finale. A prison break.
They are armed and dangerous.
A murder spree. A kidnapping.
He's gonna bury her.
It's a manhunt so big.
Get down!
It can't fit into just 1 hour.
Oh, no.
The 75-minute season finale of CSI Miami at a special time, CBS Monday.
It's country's night to shine, and I do mean shine.
Join host Reba McEntire and country's hottest stars, Shania Twain, Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney, Alan Jackson, as they light up Las Vegas. Plus, Martina McBride, Toby Keith, and the Dixie Chicks live from their home state. The Academy of Country Music Awards live CBS Wednesday.
"60 Minutes has explored nearly every corner of our society, including the world of music. That's Mike cajoling a little Sousa out of Vladimir Horowitz. For a broadcast whose only theme is the sound of a stopwatch ticking, some of the greatest musicians of our time have been on 60 Minutes. Classical greats like Leopold Stokowski with his silver mane was still at it. Leonard Bernstein was still at it when we profiled him 23 years ago. Along the way, Beverly Sills, Renee Fleming, Yo-Yo Ma, and Luciano Pavarotti were all on 60 Minutes. We've watched and heard Ray Charles, Billy Joel, Eric Clapton,
if I saw you in heaven,
Here's a bridge I cannot buy.
and Sheryl Crow, among others.
Understand, are you strong enough to be my man?
And we've enjoyed a legendary R&B performance by the Mike and Tina Turner Review. Not to mention the unique musical stylings of Burns and Bradley.
For she can carry a gun good as any mother's son, that's one note.
For she can carry a gun
good as any mother's son. For she can, go ahead.
For she can carry a gun
good as any mother's son. See with harmony.
So listen.
Ed goes for music, but Morley goes for the jugular, at least when it comes to some modern art.
Pictures at an exhibition. What pictures? Young artists, it seems, cannot resist the tried and true empty canvas. And neither can their dealers.
You look at this and you see, okay, now that's very thick paint. And then you look at it again and you think that's a very thin brush. It's not a thick brush. If I wanted to paint it quickly, I could have gotten a roller.
Yes.
Okay, right? And then you think, okay, what does that brush stroke mean? And if you start with very basic steps, you will get to the answer.
We have not come close to showing you all of our most memorable 60 Minutes people and moments this evening, but there are a few we just couldn't leave out. Barbra Streisand being Barbra Streisand.
Can I just see the difference if you put that one light bulb on right there? Come in closer on the back camera to sort of simulate the distance of this one? I think you're better in this camera because this is a little too far over. Do I have to put shoes on?
Leave the shoes off, Paul.
That's okay.
And start the interview, please.
They say I'm difficult?
You would love to control this piece.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Of course. I don't trust you.
And Roberto Benigni, who won an Oscar for Life is Beautiful, being Roberto Benigni, as he tells Bob Simon about meeting the Pope.
I jumped on him. I was so full of energy. You jumped on the Pope? Yeah, and I told the Babo father in how do you say, slang. No, it's like really a little boy, Babo, which means dad. Dad, finally I found you again. I have been so bad in my life, and I kissed here and there and here. And everywhere I kissed him. And the cardinal told me, quite, he's very old, because they were afraid he could.
When you jumped on the Pope, was he surprised?
Very surprised, but he liked it because he told me you are very Italian.
Here's another historic meeting. Mr. Safer and Miss Piggy.
Excuse me. Hello, Marty. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Please? Is your wife here?
No, she's not.
Great. Morty?
Yes?
Could I see you later?
Of course.
Thank you.
Happily.
Don't tell Kermit.
The most important television program ever.
Steve Kroft introduced us to Jon Stewart, whose Daily Show lampoons the TV news business. It was during the last presidential election that Stewart and his crew moved from cult pleasure to cable hit.
During the New Hampshire primary, Senator John McCain let correspondent Steve Carell ride aboard the Straight Talk Express.
So Carell goes on the McCain Express, and he's giving him, favorite movie, favorite dish, favorite color.
Your favorite book, For Whom the Bell Tolls. How do you reconcile the fact that you were one of the most vocal critics of pork barrel politics, and yet, while you were chairman of the Commerce Committee, that committee set a record for unauthorized appropriations? I'm just kidding. I don't even know what that means.
By the end of the second convention, not only did everyone know who they were playing along.
Why'd you come to the convention? I mean, I come for two reasons. I come for the food, I come to wear makeup.
William Bennett asked me for my autograph for his kid. You've seen the show. If you were William Bennett, would you even talk to me?
Chris Rock's edgy humor also relies on getting uncomfortably close to the truth.
He says out loud what some people think but don't say.
They got the affirmative action thing, white guys mad. We're losing everything. We're losing everything. It's reverse racism. We're losing everything. White people ain't losing nothing. There ain't a white man in this room that would change places with me. And I'm rich.
Charles Schulz brought us a gentler, but every bit as insightful humor. For more than 50 years, he brightened our daily newspapers with Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and the Peanuts Gang.
If you were to read the strip, for just a few months, you would know me, because everything that I am goes into the strip. All of my fears, my anxieties, my joys, and almost even all of my experiences go into that strip. They are me. That is me, what I'm thinking of, what I'm writing, and what the characters are doing.
Someone else with an extraordinary talent, George Finn, who inspired the movie Rain Man. He is a savant whose limited intellectual ability is graced with a special gift.
What day of the week was August 13th, 1911?
Sunday.
What day of the week was May 20th, 1921?
Friday.
What day is June 6th in the year 91,360?
91,360. June the 6th. It'll be on a Friday.
Well, you're remarkable. It's been a great pleasure to meet you.
I'm glad. What's your name again?
Morley.
Morning, I'm glad to meet you. I will remember this day as long as I live.
What Andy Rooney remembers is just how many people are watching him on 60 Minutes, some a little too closely.
How would you like to have 10 million people staring at you every week looking for flaws? I mean, the money's good, but I hate it. Here's a letter from a fellow named Trainer complaining about my shirts. Says my collars are too small and make my neck look funny. He says I ought to wear sleeves that are longer so I have more cuffs showing. No one likes to be inspected that carefully. You know what else he noticed? He asked why I wear my wristwatch underneath my wrist instead of on top of it. Well, I wear it that way because I like it that way, Trainer. That's why I wear it that way. Letterman even had my eyebrows on his top 10 list.
Number 6, watering and trimming Andy Rooney's eyebrows. Number 5.
I don't know what to do. I try to look nice. I comb my hair. I tie my tie. I put on a jacket. But I draw the line when it comes to trimming my eyebrows. You work with what you got.
The Home Depot is more than a store. It's a powerhouse with powerful names like John Deere, Honda, Weber, and Toro. And right now, it's powerful deals like free assembly with any lawnmower or gas grill purchase, and free propane with any gas grill purchase of $119 or more. It's the guaranteed low price every day, and the power to turn the outdoors into the great outdoors. The Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
Thank heaven for little girls. For little girls get bigger every day. Thank heaven.
Just think, one rich, chocolatey, Viactive soft calcium chew, twice every day, gives you 100% of the calcium you need. You may be all grown up, but you don't have to feel that way. Viactive. Be sweet to your bones.
It's a beautiful morning.
Ask your doctor today about Vioxx, a prescription medicine from Merck, and find out what Vioxx can do for you. Vioxx.
Are you taking Allegra for your seasonal allergies yet? Whoa! I guess not. Allegra for multi-symptom relief. See your doctor for people 12 and over. Side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. Allegra. It's time to switch.
First day on the job, huh? Right behind you. I envy you, kid. You're going to be building the best cars Buick has ever built. So be proud, be precise, and treat it like the craft it is. Any questions?
Is it true this place is haunted?
Quality is alive and well at a car company called Buick.
Inside that flashlight behind the new halogen bulb is something familiar, a battery. And while it may not be the biggest decision of your day, consider this. When the Rocky Mountain Rescue Group needs light to save lives, they trust Duracell. So, whether it's lighting up a mountain rescue or illuminating a world of wizards and hobbits, it just has to work. Duracell, trusted everywhere.
The 35th anniversary edition of 60 Minutes will continue.
CBS Big Finale Monday. The King of Queens secret for marital bliss? Twin beds.
It's so classy. It's like we're British, but in a good way.
Then it's a yes dear flashback to the 80s. The fashion, the hair, the music.
You guys have an iron? I'm going to press our Hall & Oates t-shirts.
Next, take your seat for the wedding all America's been waiting for.
You dance with me today, jerkwad.
You haven't called me that since our wedding.
A special 45-minute Raymond on CBS Big Finale Monday. Plus, catch Dave on an all-new Late Show.
Hitler, the rise of evil. CBS Next.
Tonight, after the movie, they witnessed the horrors firsthand.
People blindly following what they were told.
Suffered unbearable pain.
I lost my entire family.
Holocaust survivors speak out about the movie they saw and the tyrant who terrorized the world.
I saw brutality.
Hear their courageous stories from history's darkest hours.
And so I had a leading role in saving the children.
Tonight on CBS 2 News at 11.
Presenting the Lincoln Mercury family of SUVs. They're powerful, innovative, and during the Lincoln Mercury SUV drive-away, interest-free for 5 full years, which leaves you plenty of time and money to pursue other interests. Come in now for 0% APR for 5 full years or $3,000 cash back on Navigator, Aviator, and Mountaineer. The SUV drive-away. Find all these luxurious SUVs under one roof. See your tri-state Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
A terrorist's unusual plan for Mideast peace.
On CBS 2 News at 11.
We asked Andy if he had anything to say about 60 Minutes' 35th anniversary. And of course he did.
This is an unusual event, a 35th birthday party for a television show. Whales live to be 80, owls 50, and elephants live to be 70. People live to be in their 90s now. The life expectancy of the average television show is 2 years. Even the good ones don't usually last more than 5. Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts show was #1 in 1951. I was paid $150 a week to write that. I Love Lucy was #1 for 5 years. Gunsmoke was most popular for 3. The Beverly Hillbillies was the worst #1 show. All in the Family was #1 for 5 years and deserved to be. Dallas was #1 3 times. Bill Cosby had 3 great years at the top. Cheers was best while it lasted. Nothing was ever better than Seinfeld. #1 in 1994, 1995, and 1997. They're all gone now but this. 60 Minutes has been phenomenally successful for a show that only appeals to adults and smart kids. It was the most watched television show in 1982, and again in 1992 and 93. It was in the top 10 longer than any show in broadcast history. There are a lot of 60 Minutes statistics, though, that no one ever hears. For example, in the 12 years that Leslie Stahl has been on the show, she has never worn the same piece of clothing twice.
Saudi Arabia tonight on 60 Minutes.
Her closets runneth over. Seems like a waste considering that Leslie wouldn't look bad in a brown paper bag. Morley, on the other hand, doesn't spend much on clothes. He has 6 Turnbull and Asler shirts from London. They're all blue checks.
Next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
This is Morley's way of making sure no one confuses him with Leslie. Ed spends more on clothes than Leslie does. His suits, though, are so conservative you don't notice. Ed always wears an earring that goes with his jacket. Mike and Harry Reasoner were the 2 original correspondents on 60 Minutes. I was a writer and producer for Harry. It was very sad for all of us, but especially for me when Harry died in 1991. I lost my star. I lost my friend. Mike has done the most reports for 60 Minutes, more than 1,000. Mike reminds us of Jesus Christ here at 60 Minutes. When he interviews someone, they get crucified. Steve is youngest. He doesn't remember the earlier years of 60 Minutes because I think he was still in junior high. Diane Sawyer was on the show for 5 years. I was briefly in love with Diane, but then she cut her hair. Some things improve with age. It is my biased opinion that 60 Minutes has been better than ever in its 35th year. Mozart died when he was 35, but his music is still played 212 years later, good as ever. Old television broadcasts don't stand up that well. I'd hate to have some of the things I've done shown 212 years from now. They look funny already. In the Don Hewitt, the producer, has made 60 Minutes what it has been for 35 years. I've known him since 1942, when we met in this Stars and Stripes office in London, where we were both reporters. Don was young then, and the best thing about him is he never grew up. This is a special moment that I've dreaded. It seems like a good time, though, to make a personal announcement. I've been writing for television since there was television. I've done 800 of these essays in the 25 years I've been on 60 Minutes. I've saved some money. I'd like to travel. I'd like to spend more time with my family. What I want to tell you is, I'm not going to do any of those things, and I'll be back here again next year.
This week on The Early Show, Jennifer Aniston, Michael Douglas, Bill Cosby, and top model Tyra Banks.
And we make 5 special wishes come true.
So wake up to what's new on The Early Show.
On the CBS Evening News, is it tainted money? Did or did not Harvard accept millions from an Arab leader with anti-Semitic, anti-American connections? Eye on America investigates tomorrow.
What brings you to the Rhode Island Culinary Institute?
That's a good question.
What brings you to southern New Mexico State?
You travel many miles. Why Gestalt School of Art?
What made you decide to make the trip all the way to Memphis Polytech?
$139 a week for any mid-size at budget. For irresistible prices on irresistible cars, call 1-800-BUDGET-7 or visit budget.com.
Introducing Intel Centrino mobile technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
Proudly presenting new Fancy Feast Marinated. Tender morsels of real beef, chicken, or salmon lavishly marinated, then slow cooked to perfection to captivate the palate of the true connoisseur. New Fancy Feast Marinated. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Hear that sound? It's me, in my garden, raining down growth from above. I'm talking about Miracle Grow plant food. With regular feeding, you'll get twice the blooms. Even if you're new to gardening, you can dream big and actually get big.
Serenity Dry Active Liners from Tenna, designed to fit your style.
Dictator.
We will disinfect our country.
Tyrant. He's learned to manipulate us with fear. Madman.
They're getting stronger all the time.
His obsession. Sometimes primitive force is the only way.
Wasn't just political.
Your uncle is a good man.
It was personal.
He's a monster. Can't imagine what he asks of me. Please, Hitler.
No, please.
Compromise is not possible.
Hitler, the rise of evil. The television event critics call spellbinding. CBS next.
In addition to Andy and my fellow correspondents, there are more than 100 of us who bring you 60 Minutes each week, from executive producer Don Hewitt and executive editor Phil Scheffler and their senior staff, to the producers and associate producers who do the bulk of the reporting, to the camera crews, the video and sound editors, the graphic artists, and support and studio staffs. All of us, thank you for 35 years. I'm Mike Wallace, and we'll be back next week with a regular edition of 60 Minutes.
For news 24 hours a day, log on to CBSNews.com.
CBS Monday on the CSI Miami season finale.
What's going on here?
A city under siege.
We have an escape in progress.
They are armed and dangerous.
A murder spree.
Think they were killed in the crash?
Not unless they each crashed into a bullet.
A kidnapping.
He's gonna bury her.
It's a manhunt so big.
Get down!
You're next, Callie.
I'm not leaving the investigation.
It can't fit into just 1 hour.
Oh, no.
The 75-minute season finale of CSI Miami at a special time, CBS Monday.
Last week's Jag ended with a bang. CBS Tuesday, the desperate search for Mac begins.
Can't accept dying here.
I can find her, sir.
The Jag season finale that will blow you away. All new CBS Tuesday.
Experience CBS News.